Ozonics Killerwinds podcast, back again. We got the nuke. We got me. Let's do this.
In studio.
Back in studio. We've been on the road. Wow, what an adventure. Before we start, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I was looking for a pen. This is the only pen Nick had in his office. Susie got these pens, and it's got a little fidget spinner. So let's just get this out of the way. Still going. Still going. One sec. And done.
It's so funny. You'll be
Wow.
having a conversation with Susie, and she's just
Going like this. No, I'm paying attention. What did you say? Uh-huh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hear you. Oh, okay. And then sometimes she'll be like, she's not listening to the thing you're saying.
yeah. It's funny.
But we all have these pens now, and they are fun. So I will be fidgeting off microphone. If you hear it, that was Nick's microphone. Nick, quit being so distracting. We're trying to do a podcast. Okay, let's do this. What are we talking about today?
We're talking a little bit about kind of some things that we heard at the shows
Yes.
for the most part.
Yep. And especially one really interesting fact that took us down a rabbit hole of a conversation, riff sesh. We don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
It could get really interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, no, we're back from our first show of the year.
Yep. Back from Harrisburg.
Back from Harrisburg.
We had quite the adventure.
Yeah, made it back way later than we were expecting.
So we've been gone for a couple weeks. So we left on a Wednesday. We drove to Columbus, Ohio on couple Wednesdays ago it was the beginning of February, first week in February. We drove on a Wednesday. Then we drove the west way on a Thursday, set up partway. Ben and Susie flew in on Thursday. Alec got in on Thursday.
Yeah.
We set up part of the show on Thursday, and then everybody helped set the show up on Friday. Then we had day 1 through 9 on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday we tore down. Monday morning we took Susie. Well, actually Sunday night, Sunday during the day, Alec left, drove home. Susie and Ben flew out Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Then Nick and I drove from Harrisburg to Raleigh, North Carolina, because we're going to the Dixie Deer Classic next. Got a hotel, figured out a long-term parking situation for the van, and then we were supposed to fly out on Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., wheels up.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they did it. I mean, I guess it is what it is. You can't cry over spilt milk. But at like 10:45 at night, I get a text message on my phone saying that our flight was delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Not in it. So then all of a sudden it wasn't taking off until like 12:35, 12:45. So like, really? And at that time of night, and I'm thinking, God, like, do we try to figure out a different thing to do? And it was a nonstop.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just go with it.
Right.
So instead of having to be at the airport at like 4 a.m, we didn't have to be at the airport till like 10.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting to Raleigh Airport. Flight didn't actually leave until like 1. The funny thing was, it was supposed to be a full flight.
Yeah.
3 seats on each side, 35 rows all the way to the back.
Yeah.
And was there a dozen people on the flight?
I bet not.
Seriously.
I mean, it was probably, I was thinking like 12 or 15 people maybe.
Oh, yeah. There was probably 4 or 5 people in first class, and there was maybe a dozen of us
It was
all the way in the back.
It was the weirdest thing ever.
That I've never experienced that before. And the attendant out at the desk made a comment. Oh, we've got a pretty light flight. It shouldn't take long to board. And they have like zone 1, zone 2. And usually it's like the zones are 5 minutes apart. They went from zone 1 to zone 8 within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
They were on zone 8. I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh man, that's it.
Yeah, we were all in there on the plane sitting down within 10 minutes.
Oh man, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and plus 2, getting off too was really nice.
Oh man.
Normally you got to wait and wait, but it was basically everybody got up and just walked out.
Yeah, the little ding went off that said we're not moving and you can unbuckle your seatbelts, and everybody stood up and we all just walked right off.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
It was really awesome.
And then Susie waited for us and she gave us a ride home. Got home last night about 6, and here we are.
Yep.
We, like I said, had a great show at Harrisburg. You know, I feel like the thing that really killed it this year, especially, is we always go there trying in the last half a dozen years, not half a dozen. Yeah, about that. Yeah, about that. Because we were trying to do this before you worked at Ozonics, was really trying to get testimonials, people's real reactions and real testimonials of their experiences with Ozonics. You hear me say this all the time. If you don't believe us, believe them. And sometimes I think the one thing we struggle with is that they know that we work here, you know? And when they hear it from real people, real results. And so it's been really cool to be at the shows, and we've really honed in on and sharpened the knife on how we get testimonials. It works out really good. And this year, man, we really got some great ones.
Yeah, we got a lot this year.
Yeah,
Some really good,
really cool stories of all sorts of different things.
Yeah,
from a gentleman that was a double amputee, leg amputee, talking about trying to, help with his odor, with the shoes that he has to put on with all that stuff, and just really, really cool stories of, fathers and sons and buddies and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah,
it was really neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a great show in that regard. It was really fun. We had Ben Griffin there. We had Alec Link. Ben is a good friend of Nick's, and Alec is a good friend of mine. If you guys have been listening, we actually did podcasts with both of them while we were there. That was really, really fun. I mean, you know me. You get me talking about Alaska. Mm-hmm. And I think especially, like I said before, Alec is the epitome of the guy that you would just never know.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He's just, that's honestly, I was kind of surprised he was so willing to talk about it, which I was really appreciative of.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because, a lot of this stuff I think even like you hadn't really heard much about.
No, not really. Not like the specifics, really.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah.
But, 9 big days. It felt like, from a crowd perspective, the beginning of the week felt a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Especially that Saturday. They had some inclement weather, kind of icy road conditions, and I think that kind of held people back.
Yeah, I heard some people talking. I think it was actually, I went down into the 3D, where they were doing the 3D shoot, and there were some people up there talking, and they were saying, like kind of northwest of where we were, they were saying, it's really bad. It's, there's a bunch of crashes and stuff like that. So I think that really kind of hurt the numbers on that first day.
Well, even talking to Alec, the way he came over from Erie towards Harrisburg, sounded like there was a really, really bad crash that evening, not too long after he went by.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that it seemed like the roads kind of held everything back a skosh, which is fine. But, yeah, interestingly, how it felt a little slower on Saturday and Sunday, man, it picked up the rest of the week. Monday through Friday, sometimes it feels like in the middle of the week, it could the crowd can kind of lessen because it's a Tuesday or Wednesday. But it didn't.
Yeah, no.
I couldn't believe all the families, kids that were running around.
Yeah.
Mom and dad's taking kids out of school, which is awesome.
Yeah.
To come to the show. And then the Friday, Saturday, Sunday of that second weekend, oh baby.
It was busy.
Even on Sunday, usually it seems like on a Sunday of a show by 1 o'clock, you just kind of feel it all just get a little bit over the hump, and it was like, well, there's not going to be many people walking in. It's 1, it closes at 4. We were busy till 3:30. 3:30, we're still people walking around.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it was really great.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Harrisburg. It's a different crowd than we see at Iowa, different crowd that we see in Wisconsin, and they pull in so many states from Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, D.C. area, New York, West Virginia, Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee. They pull so much. Maine. I talked to some guys from Maine.
Yeah.
Talked to an outfitter from Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah, and a big positive from the week, too, we had nobody get sick. You always hear about the Harrisburg flu.
Oh, yeah. We definitely were taking our, what do they call that stuff?
Emergency?
Yeah, emergency, this little powder stuff you put in a glass. It tastes
it's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It's really gross, but
it tastes like, I don't even know how to describe it. It tastes like
chalky kind of.
Bad fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, bad fruit.
Yeah.
Yep. But I wanted to do a couple shout outs for people that came up at the show that said, hey man, listen to the podcast. Big shout out to a guy named Chad, this big, huge, tall police officer that we met last year. Yep. Super cool. big congratulations to him. Him and his wife, they have one, but now they have number 2 on the way.
Yep.
So that was cool. It was fun to get to see him.
Yep.
That dude is big.
He's very tall.
He's big. And he actually came back. He was there one of the days, and he was there on Sunday. And I was actually, another shout out to my buddy Zach Workman. He's a tall guy. He's like 6'2".
Yeah.
And Chad walked up. I mean, dude, he got to be like 6'8", right?
Yeah, it was so
I
funny.
mean, he's a big old dude.
I was kind of filming you guys because you kind of were giving them the lowdown on some stuff with the ozonics, so I was just filming it. Just that stuff is really cool to capture too. I mean, obviously we're trying to do the testimonials, but it's really fun to capture you in the moment, like teaching people. So I was doing that, and it was so funny. It was like him, and then like just like your head, like
That's all you could get in the picture.
Yeah, it was like his head in the top right side of the frame, and then your head in like the bottom left. It was the funniest looking thing ever.
Well,
I kept looking back at Alec, like, "Come here, look at this." Like, it was just funny.
Well, the funny thing about that too is that I'm 6 foot, and 6 foot feels pretty normal, average, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, and if you're not 6 foot, you don't mean to, but you're kind of like doing this, you know?
Yeah,
I was doing this,
yeah.
like
It was really
looking
funny.
up. So
Yeah.
that was kind of funny. But yeah, shout out to Chad. Shout out to Zach Workman. Who else? Shout out to John Wayne. Our buddy, his name isn't John Wayne. His name is just actually Wayne, but I call him John Wayne.
Yeah,
So shout out to John Wayne.
yeah,
Talk to some guides and outfitters that I always like to catch up with.
yep,
That do stuff in Alaska and in different places.
yep,
Like shout out to a guy named Bob.
yep.
Like to see Bob. It's always fun to see him.
Then we went down too
well,
and talked. Who?
I know what you were gonna say.
Who?
Dorge.
Oh yeah, Dorj,
Yeah, shout
of
out to
course.
big shout out to Dorge.
Yep.
Gosh, I love seeing him.
Yeah, he's
And
so fun to talk
I
to.
don't know if he's gonna be at other shows, but man, it's such a great thing to get to catch up with him.
Yeah, no, it
And just
really
see him, and
is.
he's always got a smile on his face.
Yeah, and
he's always
just-
got something going on.
dude.
Oh my goodness,
It's
that guy.
unreal. Yeah.
Well, and it's cool too because last year he talked about that he was designing these pliers
yeah,
that they look almost like a diamond
yeah,
with this spring in the middle, but it's like a diamond that crisscrosses again at the top. And he talked about that because of the way that they're jointed and the way that they swivel on each other, it compounds the amount of strength
yeah,
onto the pliers themselves.
yeah,
And they're, of course, they're made of like titanium and they're like ultra light and all this crazy stuff. And when you grab them and you pinch it on your finger,
yeah.
he said, he's like, he had a prototype the year before and he's like, be careful. He's like, don't just like vice grip it. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I just barely pressed it. And I'm talking,
It's got some serious power to it.
oh yeah. Like if you had a board or something and you really press down, you could put a huge dent in the board.
Yeah. Well, and he was showing us too. I went down there and talked because I asked him about it and he was like, yeah, this is kind of the refined one. Like feel it, it's way lighter, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, and watch this. Like there's just like these little tiny pieces that he has that he builds arrows with or knocks or whatever. And he's like, watch this. And he could just go up to it and it had just the right amount of grip strength to it that he could just pick anything up.
Like on the very tip of it.
Yeah, just like the very, very tip.
Very
like it was
tip.
just like the smallest little piece of equipment that he was using. He just like picks it up.
Because it's got so much power.
That it doesn't need much to be able to.
Yeah.
It was just cool. He's like, I can pick up anything with this, and he just picks it up.
Well, especially
picks it up.
being you and I are guys that are carrying these
Yeah, exactly.
Leathermans 24/7.
Yeah,
And I use my Leatherman all the time.
yeah,
To the point where it wears out the hole in my pocket on my pants.
yeah,
You know.
yep,
But yeah, no, Dorge is such a cool dude.
yeah,
If you're listening to this and you don't know much about like who we're even talking about, he owns a company called Fire Knock, and he has all sorts of stuff. And we've talked about this before, but you know, I've seen him at shows for a long time, for years and years and years. And when you walked by, he has a loud voice,
yeah,
and so it's not like he's yelling at people, but he talks really loud, and he talks like a million miles a minute.
yeah,
And I saw him talking to people, and like I'd see him at shows for years and just never like ran into each other, or
Yeah.
I never made it to a point to walk up and introduce myself. And somehow one time we got to talking, and him and I have been friends ever since. It made me feel like I should have really tried to, you know, get to know him sooner.
you're right.
Because yeah, he's a super cool dude, but
Yeah,
he's got these knocks. That's kind of was his first like shtick. Was he had these lighted knocks, and it's an unbelievable system how it works. When it's in an arrow, it looks just like a normal knock. You wouldn't even know the difference.
yeah,
But the way they light up, they're incredibly bright. They have you can put a replaceable battery in them. It has a little circuit board.
Yeah.
You can change the light and the knot color to create almost any color across the rainbow, basically. He's got this little deal. It shows all the colors. It's like, well, which color do you want? When I did it, I'm like, I want the brightest one. He's like, that's red on red. But if you're like, man, I like purple, well, then he's got a certain color light for a certain color knock, and it creates a different color. It's really an interesting idea.
Yeah.
But then when you start diving in, holy guacamole, he's got a whole catalog.
Oh, man.
Of everything from knocks to arrow accessories, carbon arrows themselves, titanium upgrade bolt systems for your bows, stabilizers, string dampeners, broadheads, fletching jigs.
Yeah.
I'm only scratching the surface.
He's got so much
I mean,
stuff.
I even saw on his banner, he said he's got like 43 patents within the archery, industry, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does all sorts of stuff. I've actually I've been to his house and seen his shop, and it's really something.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I feel like the power of what George has done to the whole archery world won't be felt until his patents start to run out and other people start to tap into some of his designs.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's when I think, because it's bizarre. I mean, I feel like if people really understood it, everybody would be doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And there's more and more people that are catching on.
Oh, for sure.
But a lot of people don't have an absolute clue.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it takes one to know one type of deal.
Yep.
It's like you become involved, kind of by being referred by somebody else, just like you and me.
Yeah.
You would have never thought of it,
Well,
or even looked at it, and until I was doing it, and then you're like, hey, let me see that. Oh, that's working pretty good.
Well, and I think another thing too about all of his stuff is it is, he talks so fast and just like
So exact
and in depth on everything. It kind of gets a little bit overwhelming, and so like I keep thinking about, like, if I didn't have you and I went down and talked to him, I would be like, well, what the heck? But then when you see his stuff actually in action and actually working and experience it, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and even Ben was a perfect example.
yeah,
You had brought arrows that you wanted George to put his inserts in and get all squared away.
Yeah.
And you were going to start using his vein, his arrow veins.
Yeah.
He's got these different arrow concepts and all based around aerodynamics and how it works. And it's unbelievable.
yeah,
And Ben was kind of listening in and interested. And he's like, well, I want to go meet this guy. I want to talk to him. And what did I tell him? I said, Ben, you need to be ready to have, an intellectual explosion.
yeah,
It's going to be just too much information for you to process.
yeah,
So just try to clear your mind and just listen and grab onto what you can.
yeah,
So you took Ben over there,
yeah,
and because I have the titanium bolts and stuff that he puts in his bows, and so you were trying to explain it to Ben, and so you kind of walked over like, all right, George, like,
yeah.
let's get into this.
I just told George, like I said, me and Cole are trying to explain to Ben, like, kind of all this stuff. And I just said, we figured it would be better just to have you explain it to him. So I'm like, just give him the skinny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he asked Ben, what bow does he shoot? And Ben tells him. And George is like, oh, that bow needs a lot of work right out the gate. And
Yeah.
Ben was just like, what? Like, it was just,
Oh, you could do this and you could do this.
Yeah.
Oh, you could do this
Yeah,
and this. And, oh, you
exactly.
should try this. And what arrows do you shoot?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to do this. And we're butchering the way he talks, but
Yeah.
it's like you have to really just
well, even
you got to strap in.
even when
You got to tighten the seatbelt and be ready because he's going to take you for a ride.
even when I brought my arrows to him, he had stopped by our booth, and I'm like, George, I brought my arrows. I'd really like the arrow concept 2 in it or whatever. Just what I would like to do. He's like, yep, bring them down anytime. I'm like, okay. So I bring them over. He pulls them out of my arrow tube, and instantly he's like, oh no.
Oh, what did you do?
Oh,
Look at all this. Oh, look at the glue. What
so
were you
much
thinking?
glue. How much glue did you use? And I'm like, I don't know, whatever. So anyways, I go back to the booth, and like literally like an hour later, he comes back. The arrows are completely done, completely refletched.
Perfect.
Like just perfect. And he was just giving me so much crap about, man, you use so much glue. You use so much glue. Who did these? I'm like, honestly, George, I did it. I was just trying to tinker around with it, learn how to do it a little bit. And I think he kind of felt bad a little bit after that.
But I think that's I think the thing that I like about him most is that he can come off as very like overbearing.
Yeah.
Right. But I think he's also very respectful.
For sure.
About like, even like when he heard that, he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like you're just, oh, okay. Because I think at the end of the day, George wants more people involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
wants to see the sport of archery and bow hunting grow.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think it just kind of depends on where you're at within kind of your journey of the whole thing is kind of where he kind of meets you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's, that's even like when I first got to know him and I was looking at using his arrows, I was looking at using his arrows, and then I ended up landing on his veins and the glue that he uses.
Yes.
I remember the first time I met him, he's like, my veins will never come off.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's like, no, you can't. Once I glue them on, you can't pull them off. I'm like, okay. And he's like, here, I'll show you. So he had an arrow there, and he, right in front of us, puts a bead of glue on the vein, uses his jig, puts it on, and he's like, count to 10. I'm like, okay. So we count to 10, and he hands me, I had my Leatherman. He's like, is that a Leatherman? I'm like, yep. He goes, try to pull the vein off. I was like, what? He's like, try to pull the vein off. I'm like, all right. So I grab it, and I kind of wrench on it a little bit. And he's like, no, go. Like, pull it off. Like, really pull it off. I'm like, are you sure? Yep, pull it off. And dude, I was given everything I had, and I couldn't get that vein to budge.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally watched him just glue it on there. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I've used his veins ever since, and I've never had one ever
Rip off.
no.
Yeah.
Not come loose, not nothing. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. And he was telling me too a little bit about the glue that he uses.
Yeah.
Because he's like, most people when they glue veins on, it was some number like 0.3 something that it adds to the arrow.
Yep.
He said when I glue them, it adds 0.003.
Yeah.
Like something crazy. And in his bottle, he said it's made so when you squeeze it, it only puts out the exact perfect amount.
Yes, that's not everything he does is
like,
has a purpose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all unbelievable.
So he puts one bead, spreads it across the vein, and that's it.
Yes. Everything is down to the
Oh.
I mean, if you want to talk to a guy that's all about detail, you think, "Oh, well, you said a saying and I've been using this a lot. It's far from perfect, but it's perfect from afar." That is not in his vocabulary.
Yeah.
It's not far from perfect. It is perfect.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That is Dorge.
Yeah.
He can tell you, like you could grab those pliers and be like, tell me the exact distance down to the 100,000th of an inch on this.
Oh, yeah.
He would know it.
Yeah.
How many foot-pounds down to the third decimal point
Yeah.
at all these different positions, he would know.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, and it's a one-man show. It's just him.
Yeah.
The catalog, he does it.
Yeah.
The design, he does it.
Yeah.
Like when he talks to manufacturing, if they speak another language, he speaks it.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like he'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
He's worth, when you're at a show, if you see him, you see Fire Knock logo, walk up,
Take
talk
20
to him.
minutes.
Go on YouTube, jump on his website.
Yeah.
He's got these classes that you can take. They'll blow your mind.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited to.
That's way more than we need to talk about with that, but it's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm super excited to shoot those arrows. I'm so excited to see what it's like.
Yeah. Yeah. His knock system, his vein system,
Yeah.
and his arrow system and his carbon and everything's doing, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. Who else want to give shout outs to?
I had one guy. I'm not sure if he listens actually, but there's just one guy that I see every year at the shows there. He's just he's probably about my age, maybe a little bit older, but my first year there, I had my camera there and he was talking a lot about
I remember
filming.
that guy.
Yeah.
He came up again?
Yeah, he came back up again.
Cool.
Talked to him for a little bit. He's a super
He's just
nice
like
guy.
a passionate bow hunter that wanted to start filming hunts.
Yep, and he just films his buddies and
Yep.
films himself a little bit. Doesn't post it anywhere. He just likes doing it, and
Yeah.
so it's really cool. I really enjoyed talking to him. His name is Dustin.
Cool.
Yep, I saw him again this year.
Well, there's a father son that we see every year that when I first started going to the show, the son was like short, and now he's full grown.
Yeah,
He about as tall as his dad.
yeah,
See some of those guys every year. That's really fun.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, no, that is the kind of the fun part. And one of the things that kind of makes it go by is it's a 9-day show, but all the vendors, especially, we're all kind of in it together.
Yeah.
Everybody's there and we're all trying to make it through. And then when you get to have great conversations, like I said, we talk about the testimonials, but the other big thing for us, and it's a continual learning, is the education piece. You know, we went to a Midwest Whitetail event last summer and we talked a lot about this with them. And I feel like this is something that we're leaning into more and more. We'll probably talk about that on this podcast if we haven't already. We talk about the science, we talk about the setup. And when you understand science and setup, it leads to success. There's a lot to unpack with just those 3 words.
Yeah.
But I think for any user of ozonics, there's always more to be learned. You can go deeper.
Yeah.
And the deeper you go with it, I think just the more opportunity for success that it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
And so we spend a lot of time, just like with that guy, Chad, you know, he came up last year and really was really thinking, and he's like, man, I think I'm just going to wait a year. I'm like, okay, cool. Came back this year and he ended up buying an HR 600, but that's only part of it. And I told him, I'm like, all right, man, well, let's talk a little bit about, this is what you need to understand the science. And let's talk about talking about the science, how that leads to certain types of, let's talk about setup.
Yeah.
And then if you understand that, the science and the setup, that's going to help lead to success.
Right.
And so we spend a lot of time just trying to educate, whether you've never used it, whether you just started to use it, you've been using it for a decade, whatever it is, just because I think there's always more to be learned. So we spend a lot of time at the shows. That's a big part of why we're there as well.
Yeah.
Is it's a way that we can have shoulder to shoulder FaceTime.
Yeah, exactly.
With guys.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that's the other big thing too. Yep. Okay, so let's get right into it. We heard something at Harrisburg that really blew our minds. And it was actually from a couple different Pennsylvania residents, Pennsylvania hunters.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read it just so I get it right. And it was about the harvest reports in Pennsylvania from the 2024-2025 season. Okay. In the 2024-25 Pennsylvania deer season, archery hunters set a record by harvesting more antlered deer, more bucks, than firearm hunters for the first time, with an estimated 87,540 bucks taken by a bow compared to 86,530 by a gun. But here's the interesting fact. So one, that's pretty interesting that bow kills for bucks outpaced rifle kills.
Right.
That's like, whoa, really?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that's like, dang. But here's the interesting. Overall, bow hunters took, overall, not just does, not just bucks, but also does, it was 178,140 deer total.
Yeah.
This was heavily driven by crossbow usage, which accounted for 67% of the archery buck harvests.
It's insane.
67% of that 87,540 was with a crossbow.
Yeah.
And so that is the first time in the state of Pennsylvania that's ever happened. And when you start to look at states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin is a rifle state.
Yeah.
Minnesota's a rifle state. But you look at the just sheer number of hunters in a state like Pennsylvania that's always been so driven by rifle hunters. And then to hear that on the buck side of things, archery outpaced rifle.
Yeah.
And of that archery, 67% was a crossbow.
Yeah.
That's just wild.
Yeah. It's insane.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
So to dive a little bit deeper into that. So remember, we're talking antlered versus antlerless. Antlerless, still rifle hunters, rifle kills outpaced bow kills. Okay. So let's talk about that. On the firearm, they had a higher number of total deer. So let me just read this. While archery surpassed rifle for bucks, firearm hunters still took a higher number of total deer, which came out at 197,230 antlerless, while archers took 90,600 antlerless. So there's still a lot more does killed with a firearm than archery equipment. But on the buck side of things, obviously, so that's showing you too, that if a guy's out there archery hunting, he's looking to shoot a buck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the other thing that's interesting about this, and this is just kind of another little side note, is the Sunday hunting impact. That, for as long as I've known, you couldn't hunt on Sundays for deer in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
but that started to change. They started to the 2025 into the 2026 season continues to feature expanded Sunday hunting, which increases the opportunity for archer hunters as well.
Yeah.
Because they only had 6 days a week, now they got 7 days a week. So by percentage, that's a full another day. It's a lot more hunting that you can do.
Well, and the interesting thing about that and I don't mean to interrupt here,
No,
but
you're good.
it was interesting hearing some people talk about that. Some people were kind of against that.
Yeah, no, I know.
I couldn't believe that.
Well, it's funny because as many years as we've been going there, we've talked about this. Like, man, you can't even hunt on Sundays. Like, geez, you work 5 days a week and then you can only go out on Saturday.
Yeah.
But then the funny thing is there's guys that have lived in Pennsylvania their whole life, and we talked to them and they're like, yeah, man, I don't want.
Yeah, they were like, it's nice to just have a day.
Yeah, just to have a day. That's just. But not only that, the trespass laws in Pennsylvania.
I could not believe
that's
that.
a whole nother can of worms and a rabbit hole. We're not going to try to go down that.
No.
But the trespass laws in Pennsylvania seem very vague.
Loose.
Like loosey goosey.
Yeah.
Like trying to use a wet note. Well, it's even hard to say. Trying to use a wet noodle to, row upstream. You know what I mean? Like loose, like really loose.
Yeah. I could not believe that.
That was the other part about it too that I heard as well. On Sundays, if I wasn't hunting, at least I could just relax. Well, now if I'm not hunting on Sunday, I've got to worry about people trespassing on the property that I own, the property that I have permission for.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
I was really surprised by that. That in years past, I feel like I heard him say, oh, yeah, man. Now, I have a good buddy that lives there that was like, he's like, yeah, man, I love the hunting on Sundays. That's awesome. Yeah. It's just nice to be able to go.
Yeah.
But then we heard people say they didn't like it.
Yeah. That was so interesting to me.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was just really interesting to hear people's reactions about this whole archery outpacing rifle kills. That just is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And especially on the crossbow side of things.
Right.
We've had discussion about this before and, where we stand on, crossbows in the state of Iowa. But we just, as we were driving and even just talking, we started to ask the question, well, how many states can you use crossbows in? How many states can't you use crossbows in? What are the regulations on all that? I had no idea. Well, interestingly, 10-point crossbows has a really cool thing right on their website.
Yeah.
If you Google it, it comes right up.
I'll put a link in the description.
And we'll put the map up. I'll hold the map up here.
And I'll put it on.
Yep. But we've got this map that shows the entire United States. As we started to kind of dive into this, the question was, well, how many states can you use a crossbow in? Not only just use a crossbow, but like Pennsylvania, use it during the archery season. And that's part of, I think, where Pennsylvania is seeing this huge burst.
Yeah.
Right? Is that you've got a lot more men and women that are buying crossbows and are using them during the archery season. So we asked Google, and this 10-point crossbow regulation page with this really, really intuitive map came right up.
Yeah.
So here's the facts as of today.
Yeah.
There are 33 states that it is legal to use crossbows during the archery season. And that is, which I was really surprised by, is basically every state east of the Mississippi.
Literally.
And, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and there too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, east of the Mississippi, there's only a couple that aren't.
Yeah.
And when you look at those states, there's the red are 10 states that it's only legal in the firearm season, which is kind of funny because all around us, it's just Iowa's the only one that's not legal during the archery season, really.
Right.
And you've got South Dakota that comes into this other group that is legal for physically challenged hunters during the archery season, which I think that Iowa, you can use it if you're physically challenged.
I thought so too.
Yeah, if you had like a note from a doctor, like say you had a shoulder injury, I thought you could. So I'm surprised that they're not in that category.
Yeah.
But maybe they know more than we do, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'd have to check into that. But then Florida is one of its own, which is legal for use in archery season on private land only.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting wrinkle. So they can use it during the archery season, but only on private land, not on state land.
Yep.
So that's like kind of what I feel like we're on the cusp of with cell cams,
Right.
where you can use them on private land, but you can't use them on public land.
Right.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you look at the East Coast, and especially the Northeast, there's only one state right there that is legal for challenged hunters during the archery season. That's Massachusetts. Is the only one that's surrounded by every other state that you can use it during the archery season.
Yeah.
I was really surprised there's 33 states that you can use it during the archery season right now.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
No.
I didn't know it was that many.
I mean, I knew that there was a lot because I feel like you always hear like, oh, I was the only one holding on yet. You know what I mean?
They are, around us, they are.
I know, it's crazy.
I mean, it's this wave just coming across. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's unreal.
Yeah, yeah. But like you said, it's interesting when you look at all the western states, Alaska, California, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, Montana, North Dakota, Washington, only legal in the firearm season.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're just going to kind of get into it. And, trying to be as objective as you can. It's interesting because I said this to Nick before this. I feel like when it comes to crossbows now, and like even hunting in a lot of cases, starting to kind of feel like religion and politics. I have very strong opinions politically. I have very strong opinions spiritually or religiously, but they're mine. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it's like my place to try to to each his own. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like, I know what I believe, but it's up to you to decide how you feel. Mm-hmm. And like, if you ask me, like, we can talk about it, but I'm not going to sit here and try to sway you or convince you.
Right.
And maybe somebody listening is like, well, that's BS because you've talked about this on the podcast before. You're right. I have. I think we were just like having a discussion. I wasn't trying to, it's just, it is how I feel. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
But so I feel like when it comes to politics, when it comes to religion, and now when it comes to hunting regulations and I guess in this discussion, crossbows.
Right.
I don't know, teach his own.
Yeah. No doubt.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I just think it's interesting, like, the fact that the state of Pennsylvania are seeing that jump is I kind of feel like when it comes to the archery hunting, there has been changes coming, and now you're starting to really see that firsthand.
Yeah. For sure.
And even when we're at the Harrisburg show is a perfect example. We're right by Lancaster. Lancaster Archery has a booth right across from us, to the right of us, to the right other side of us. They're there. They've got like a huge booth. They have all this stuff. And, even 10 or 15 years ago, when you just talked about bows, it was just it was like bows, a compound bow. But now they don't call bows, and I'm just talking to Lancaster, I'm talking to everybody. They call it a vertical bow, and they call the other ones crossbows.
Yeah.
And they sell a lot of vertical bows, and they have a lot of people looking at vertical bows, but they sell way more crossbows.
Yeah, for sure.
Way more.
Yeah.
Way more. And you hear them talk about that. And they had a smoker of a deal on crossbows at the show this year. And so it's a deeper discussion of, what is changing? Like, why is that? Like, why is crossbows becoming such a prevalent thing? And I have a theory. I don't know if this is right, but I kind of feel like it is right. And this was actually brought up while we were talking about this at the show, about this whole Pennsylvania more archery kills than rifle kills, and a majority of that was crossbows, and everybody has like an opinion on it. You know what I'm saying? the interesting thing that I heard said, and I tend to agree, is that, you know, there's been this hunting bubble or this wave of a population that has been going through the hunting industry, let's say since like the 90s. Does that make sense? In the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And in the 90s and the 80s, they were the son. And then they were the 18 to 35-year-old guys. And then in the late 90s and 2000s, they became the dads. And they were the 35 to 50-year-old guys. And now in the 2015 to 2025s, they're now the grandpas. They're like the 50 plus. And so I feel like there's been this wave of hunters that have come through the hunting industry. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And if you kind of look back, you can see how that has grown the sport and grown different categories within that. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was saying this to Nick before, and it relates with like our dads and our grandpas. When they grew up in the 70s and in the 60s and 70s, what'd they all have? Dodge Chargers, Camaros, Mustangs, Chevelles, right? They had a 454, they had a Hemi, and all these types of things. And, I remember hearing my grandpa talk about, oh man, they were gas guzzlers when gas was 73 cents a gallon or 90 cents or whatever, 10 cents or whatever, and they all had these muscle cars when they were kids. And then when they were sons, they had all these muscle cars. They became dads, started having families. Like, oh man, dude, I gotta get rid of this car. Like, I gotta pay for this and that, and we're having kids and a house and this and that. And so then they let go all those cars. Well, then all of a sudden, now they became the grandpas. Well, what did all the car companies do? What'd they come back out with? Dodge Charger, new Camaro. What'd they put in them? Hemis, all these types of things. And all of a sudden, all these grandpas were like, oh man, dude, I remember that. I had one of those when I was 16, 24, blah, blah, blah. I had all those cars. And those guys are buying them again. It's like that baby boomer generation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you've seen the market and for the things that they're interested in swell and go back down. And so now we're seeing on the car side of things, you're seeing all these sports cars, Chargers and Camaros and Mustangs and all these things that were they're making the old new again. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that's kind of happening on the hunting side of things too, right? Like we see this bubble, this wave of that surge in population that are kind of coming through. Mm-hmm. And as they've come through, we've watched things grow, I mean, think about it. In the 90s and even in the 80s, it was in the 80s. Gosh, yeah, it was in the 80s. It used to just be recurve bows. There was never even a thing called a compound bow. I didn't even know what that was, Mm-hmm. I've heard stories from guys that were in the industry back then that there was people that used to wear shirts that said no wheels.
Yeah.
No wheels. Because they were staunchly against compound bows. But at that time, these guys that are grandpas now, they were sons. And that's what they were interested in, right? They were, and then we saw this surge of compound bows. Does that make sense? And then it happened with arrows. Everything used to be just like wood and cedar shafts. Then it went to aluminum.
Right.
And then when carbon first came out, there was a company, does Easton even make Beeman arrows anymore? I don't even know. I'm not sure. But like Beeman was one of the first companies. There was a few out there that made carbon arrows. And there was advertisements that said, oh, carbon's going to poison your body if you eat it. It's going to poison the meat. It could leave carbon shards in the meat and all this and that. And then now everybody makes carbon arrows, Right. And so it's like, and then that was the surge. And then all of a sudden, tree stands became popular, when this same surge of people started setting tree stands. They were at the age that they were like, okay, yeah, let's climb a tree, So then hang-ons became this surge of a thing.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden that group is starting to get a little bit more, they're getting closer to 60 rather than they are 30. So now what's become popular?
Right.
Ground blinds. First it was ground blinds. Then now what is it? Box blinds, elevated blinds, hard-sided blinds, blinds on tripods.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing the same, I feel like we're seeing the same thing with crossbows. You're seeing all of a sudden it went from like a recurve traditional bow to a compound wheeled bow, and then now it was a vertical bow. And now you're seeing this surge of this huge surge across the United States in crossbows.
Yeah.
You know, those guys, and we've heard it at the shows. Man, dude, my shoulder's not what it used to be 20 years ago. Right. I've had rotator cuff surgery. I've had guys that said, oh man, I started shooting a left-handed bow. You know?
Yeah.
That guy that we talked to felt like he was, remember that guy at the end that we got the great testimonial about?
Yeah.
He talked about, he's like, yeah, man, he's like, I've hunted this country my whole life. And he goes, and I still set tree stands. I set my tree stands for me and my hunting baby. We've been hunting together for 30 years, and I still set tree stands. I'm like, you still climb up a tree and set stands? Oh, yeah. He goes, and I end up setting stands for all my buddies, too. But he had to have been in his 60s.
For sure, in his 60s.
Yeah. And how many other guys did we talk to that were in their mid-60s? Like, oh, man, dude, I just don't feel as comfortable climbing up there like I used to. So what have they transitioned to? Blinds.
Yeah.
Box blinds, soft-sided blinds, hard-sided blinds. And they still want to be bow hunting. They still want to be out there during the archery season. They want to be out there during the rut. And so they're transitioning towards crossbows, you know? And so, yeah, it's just interesting. And maybe this is just a pipe dream of a theory, but I really feel like you can see how that's starting to happen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure.
But here's the other really interesting part about that. So if you think about it like a wave, what do waves do? Before the water's down here, the wave comes and all of a sudden the water swells and it crashes. And then what's behind it? It goes way back down again. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I heard this week was, you know, is this sustainable much longer? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? And he's like, man, this guy was like, I was at the ATA show in the 90s. I was at the ATA show 20 years ago. And I remember how big it was. Everybody that was anybody, any manufacturer, every gadget, everything you could think of, everybody was just clamoring to be at the ATA. And he goes, and it's not like that anymore. You know, some of the really, really big manufacturers don't even go.
Yeah.
You know, like, heck, look at Ozonics. Look at us. We don't even go.
Yeah.
We used to be in retail, and now we're not, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't even go to those trade shows. And he's like, it's just not what it was. And what he was saying is, he goes, are all these companies going to be able to maintain and sustain the level that they're at?
Right.
Because all these guys are aging out and there's not as many people coming up behind them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So then I Googled it. I just got on, I mean, heck, you can go on any AI platform now, but I just went on to Google. Ask the question, are there more or less hunters than there was 10 years ago? The first thing that popped up, this was by this Greenfield Recorder is what it was referencing. Hunting participation peaked in around 1982 at 17 million hunters nationwide. Since then, numbers have steadily declined with a loss of 2.2 million more between 2011 and 2017. By 2024, just around 14.5 million remained. That is less than 4% of the nation's population. So you start to think about that. And I read that, and so then we were talking, I'm like, well, do I notice that? And I'm 41 years old. It's been 25, 30 years since I was 20-some years since I was in high school, 25, 30 years since I was a little kid, right? When I was a kid, in a small town of like 2,500 people, everybody hunted. There was a lot of hunters. Like we all were out there chasing something. There was a lot of us that hunted. We lived in Clear Lake, Iowa, which is a town of what? 10,000 people, 6,500, 7,000, depending on the time of year. Yeah, surges in the summertime with the lake and tourism. But Jet, my boy Jet, was in a class of 20 kids, but they had like 4 to 5 classes of kids. So let's say 80 to 100 kids in his grade. Mm-hmm. And I asked him numerous times along the way if he ran into other hunters, and he would tell me that he just didn't. There was like one other kid that I knew that his dad took him turkey hunting.
Yeah.
But he was one of one. We would go to parent-teacher conferences, and the teachers would be like, yeah, Jet's a little different. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, when we do show and tell, when he does write us a story, he talks about, like, they thought I was like this crazy, gone 300 days a year, this crazy mountain man, because all he would write about is Dall sheep and moose and deer hunting and turkey hunting. And they're like, other kids don't talk like that, you know? Mm-hmm. Now we've moved to a smaller town, Britt, Iowa. It's 30 minutes, 20 minutes west of Clear Lake. Town of 2,000?
Yeah, 2,000.
Okay. And Jet's probably got 40 kids in his class, maybe 50 at the most. And of those 40 to 50, I bet there's there's like 6 to 10. So more in more of a rural community. He's got a little boy buddy of his that his dad takes him goose hunting. He's got a nephew that him and we hunt with my brother-in-law a lot, that they turkey hunt and deer hunt. He's got another buddy that they like to go fishing and deer hunting, you know, so there's like a few more.
Yeah. But
even then, like you can say they all gravitate together at recess and they talk about they build forts and they're building a hunting blind and things like that. So it's just not what it was.
Yeah.
Even in what I know. Does that make sense?
Right.
But then it's interesting because when you dive in on the internet and start to look at this stuff, you also see there's been a surge more recently with COVID. People having a rejuvenation towards the outdoors, you know, seeing the prices at the supermarket and then realizing like, well, man, I could go shoot a deer and I could process that meat. I could make 10 pounds of meat turn into 20 pounds of meat if I mix it with my normal hamburger,
right?
You know, and it's less expensive, So, but yeah, it's just like, where does this all settle out?
Right.
You know, like, was the 1990s kind of like the golden age of what the hunting industry was? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, if you drive around small towns in Iowa, like a lot of the main streets, they're not what they were. I just saw a thing on my phone the other day about the Burnsville, Minnesota Mall. It's like a ghost town. It's like in the middle of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And it's just empty. Like there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
You know? And I get it. Like the internet and everything is changing things.
Right.
I get that. But how is it changing hunting too? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And like I said way at the beginning of this, so when it comes to religion, politics, and crossbows, I guess, like I'm going to keep my opinion to myself. And I'm not sitting here saying this is right or wrong, but look at how it's changing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the big thing.
You know? And it's interesting too, you know, when we were talking about earlier with the hunting industry, just like with it when it went from recurves to compounds. Oh, no wheels, those are bad. You know, don't do that. It was the industry at first was like, that's terrible. Like they shunned the people that tried to bring it forward. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden when they were like, oh, wait, this is what the people want. Then all of a sudden they start buying those companies, kind of like eat them up, then regurgitate them as their own.
Yeah.
Carbon arrows from aluminum to carbon. You know what I mean? Has happened the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, look at ground blinds. Look at, tree stands, then ground blinds. Then now saddle hunting has made a comeback. Now we're looking at elevated blinds. Now crossbows. In the middle of all that too, we could have Scott Elrod sit right here and tell you all these people that said, oh, ozone is completely ridiculous. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's old tomfoolery. That's just smoke and mirrors. And all those same people, what did they do? They said that, and then they started making ozone products, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's just interesting how it happens. And sometimes like I feel like after talking to these people this weekend, what I realize is that the direction of the whole thing, it's almost like it's like if you watch like the Grammys or the Oscars, right? You see all these actors that get up there. Mm-hmm. Who was the stand-up comedian that said this just recently? That gal that does all the roasts. You know what I'm talking about? I can't think of her name. Anyway, all these famous actors, and I love watching the movies. You know, they get up there and they say these things, and like that to other people may feel very like radical. You know what I mean? But then like people go and they vote, you know what I mean? And then like that really shows what the nation thinks. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like And what you saw is that like a lot of the people that were standing up there like with the microphone with the audience that were like, you know, this and this and this and this, when it came down to the vote, I was like, whoa, wait a second. Like that didn't persuade anyone. Does that make sense? And I feel like with the hunting industry, like we all as manufacturers, like of whatever the product that we have, we hope that we can sell what we want to sell. And if there's something that's like against that, we like, oh, this is bad, da 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 da. But at the end of the day, what the consumer buys, that's just like when you go vote. That's where everything shifts. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And now you can see people are buying and using crossbows, right?
Yeah.
They're buying them,
Sure,
and they're using them. Yep. Using them in Pennsylvania. Look at all those states. 33 states are legalizing them. And so then all of a sudden, people, their opinion or the direction, you can see it by what they buy, and then the regulation starts to follow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like if each state has like a wall that they put up of what they think is ethical and moral and fair chase and everything else, and then all of a sudden there's this flood of participation and buying and people using, and then all of a sudden eventually, boom, it tips over and the regulation changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, heck, look at Ozonics in the state of Pennsylvania. They had permitted devices. We weren't on the permitted device list.
Right.
And they got this surge of people saying, hey, we want to use these things. Like, these things really help us. And then all of a sudden, they looked at it and boom, all of a sudden, okay, you can use this in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And so same type of thing. And so it's just interesting. I feel like this whole crossbow thing, you know, do we look back 10 years from now or 20 years from now and say, wow, look at how that really changed things? A lot like a compound did, just like compared to a recurve and aluminum arrows and tree stands and ground blinds and ozonics. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And now crossbows, saddle hunting, you know? And what happens 10 or 20 years from now when these guys that were the son, then they became the dad, and now they're the grandpa, and they start to age out. And all of a sudden, they're not there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And we look way back over here at the sun, and there's just not as many.
Yeah. Does
that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And what does that do? And we're just talking about like the hunting industry. We're not talking about, let's start talking about land management. Let's start talking about how states are trying to manage and land and everything else, you know? Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden it's even crazier if there's not as much participation, you know?
Yeah.
Not as many people want to be involved.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what does that look like? It could get, I don't know, it could start to look a little dark and grim.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's super interesting.
I feel like your mind's blown right now. You don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, dude.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think? I've been literally talking for over an hour. What do you think?
Not over an hour.
We're at an hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's all interesting, and I'm in the same boat as you. It's like, if you want to use a crossbow, then go ahead and do it. But
yeah.
I mean, my dad uses a crossbow. My Uncle Zip uses a crossbow. I know a lot of people that use it, and it's not like I look down at them in any ways, but it is definitely, it's different, and it's, you know, it's definitely interesting. And I can literally see it change the way that they think about hunting even.
Well,
yes. That's the weird thing about all of this.
Okay, so now we're going to get to the spicy part of the conversation.
Like, that's the thing that's weird about it. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, okay? And this is the part where it got spicy when we talked about it at the show. Mm-hmm. And I ask myself, why? Like, why is this the thing that's like, this is the thing where people are like really taking like a hard stance? Why? Mm-hmm. And there's hunting groups, personalities, people that are taking hard stances. And I, unintentionally, I've already taken a hard stance. It's been on record. We put it on the podcast. I didn't realize it was going to be that big of a deal. I mean, like, yeah, I need to just stop talking. But I know how I feel about it. So, but I asked myself, like, why? Like why? Why crossbows? Like why is it? And I guess I feel like to what you just said right there, it has really changed the way people hunt. So let's think about like compounds from the 90s, early 90s, compounds now, and let's talk about crossbows now. Okay? If you had somebody that had never shot a bow before in the 90s, even if they had shot a recurve or something or hadn't shot anything, and you took them in and you had them shoot a compound bow, you took them to a bow shop and that tech set it all up, got the arrows all tuned, figured out the release, got their sight all dialed in, and they got to take a few shots to get the sight where it needs to be. And they said, okay, let's do a proficiency test. Like in the state of Iowa, in certain places, if you do like inner city hunting, you got to hit a pie plate. So if you had to hit a pie plate at 20 yards with a compound way back then, I think it may be a 50-50 if they could hit it the majority of the time back then. 50-50 a pie plate. Now, if you come to 2025 and you go into an archer shop, and we all know these bow techs that are like magicians, right? And you walk in and you say, listen, I don't care how much it costs. I don't care which bow it is. I want you to set me up. This my friend of mine that's just new to this, never shot a bow before. I want you to get him all set up, get the right draw, get the like draw weight, draw length, the right arrows, get them all tuned up, help him. Let's get him all dialed in. And when you say, okay, his 20 pin is on, and we put a pie plate at 20 yards, before I think where it was a 50-50, I think the majority of the time, if you did that with people, they would be able to hit a pie plate, I don't know, more than 50% of the time. Some guys may hit it 8 out of 10. Some guys may hit it 4 out of 10. But I think if you looked at it over like a sum amount of people, the majority of people will be able to hit it at least 6 out of 10 times. Okay?
Yep.
On a pie plate.
Yeah.
Now let's fast forward to crossbows. I feel like the difference is now all of a sudden the barrier to entry for the first guy and the second guy is that you have to be able to pull the bow back and you have to be able to hold the bow out, right? Like look at my boy Jet. He would love to go bow hunting and I would love to get him into a youth bow. It's not about him being able to draw it or hold it back. That's not hard for him. We can turn the bow down to get him to do that. It's getting him to hold it out in front of him long enough. And every time we go to a Shields or an archery shop, I go pick up a youth bow and I have him hold it out. So much of the fact that he literally at home has dumbbells that he holds out so he can try to get stronger to hold the bow out. That's what I think is his problem is physically he can't hold it up long enough, right? But if I took him to a shop and said, okay, set him up with a crossbow and get everything dialed in, get it all, the scope all just ready, get the bolts square, everything perfect. I think that he would be able to hit a pie plate 10 out of 10 times, right? I think he would be able to hit a DVD probably 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing. So that's part of it. But then if we took the guy that had never shot a compound before and you take the guy that never shot a crossbow before, get him perfectly tuned, at 20, they're both proficient. But now if we bump out to 50 at a pie plate for the new guy or for anybody, the average is going to get it's just going to get way bigger.
Yeah.
But with a crossbow, I would argue they would be able to hit a pie plate.
Yeah.
The majority of the time. Does that make sense?
For sure.
Probably something even smaller.
Yeah.
Right? So, but again, like now there's no barrier to entry. Does that make sense? Like all of a sudden you can just do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. Like it doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the skill level. It doesn't matter where you're at physically.
Yeah.
Like you can shoot a crossbow.
Yeah.
Like, and you can shoot it efficiently.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like you're describing when you say, yeah, man, I see my dad doing it. I see buddies doing it, and it's changing the way they hunt, right?
Yeah, I mean, my Uncle Zip is a perfect example, and, no hate to him at all, but,
No.
like, back in the day, he would shoot his bow every single night. He would be in bow leagues and stuff like that because it was fun, but also it honed his craft, you know what I mean?
Honed a skill.
And now he gets a crossbow, and he has shot it maybe 3 times since he bought it, and then he goes hunting with it.
And he can drive tacks.
And he can just shoot tags with it. Like that's what I'm saying. Which that's fine if it's legal. Go
It's
do
legal
it.
in the state
I
that
don't
you're
care what
yeah.
you do. If that's what you want to do it. But from the outside looking in, it's clearly changing the way he thinks and the way he hunts.
Yes.
And it's pretty much no more tree stands. He likes to be in a blind, so he can set his tripod up. It can sit there and be ready to rock when a deer walks in. When before he was doing all day sits, hunting 7 days out of the week, going crazy, hanging stands, doing everything. And it's for sure just changed the way he hunts.
And even
It's not wrong. It's not a bad thing.
No,
but it has changed the
it's
way
changing.
he hunts. Yeah.
like we were at Harrisburg. And I'm like moving my hands. You talked about this, and I walked down to the 3D shoot too, and they had all these. They have tons and tons of targets. They have all these men and women standing there. There was a lot of compound bows. I saw one person, like while I stood there, shoot a recurve, and then I saw a couple guys shooting crossbows.
Yeah.
Well, what's the other part about it? They don't pull them back. They pull out a crank. They crank it back.
Yeah.
Then they set the arrow in. You know what I mean? I think the hardest thing that those guys were having trouble with was holding it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
most guys aren't doing that. Like we saw Lancaster, they buy a crossbow, they buy some sort of tripod.
Yeah.
They buy some sort of bog pod or whatever brand it is. Like they buy something to set it on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's just, and it's like, and I watched just like you did. They were driving tacks,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
it would have had to have been and no different than a recurve guy compared to a compound guy.
Yeah.
And so, I guess at the end of the day, to each his own.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that what I'm trying to describe is where I think there's a big difference between traditional bows, vertical bows, and crossbows.
Yeah.
Is with the traditional and the vertical bow, there is a barrier to entry from a physical and skill perspective. But I feel like with a crossbow, those things go completely away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And the argument would be, well, you can hunt with a rifle. Yes, you can during the rifle season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, exactly.
And so, but like, and that's where we get into the weeds of like the whole religion, politics, and crossbows.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like the surge of this is partly because that guy that, I don't know if it's would be considered the baby boomer generation or whatever it is that's coming through, that was the dad, now was the son, is now the dad, now he's a grandpa, and he is the crossbow guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the regulation is going to change so much that by the time he's done and the crossbows are sitting on the hook in the basement collecting dust, these guys down on this end, this is what they're going to just do now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot like how it happened with recurves to compounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? Like when those guys came through and then they started shooting compounds, their sons didn't shoot recurves, they shot compounds.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, yeah, where does it settle out?
Yeah, exactly.
And I just feel like all of a sudden I know that when I was at Harrisburg, I was like, whoa, you can really see the change.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I guess partly is I haven't felt that as much because you can use crossbows now in the late muzz season, but the archery season is only vertical bows.
Yeah.
Unless, from what I understand, if you have some sort of shoulder injury.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, I thought that was what it was too.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's just interesting to see how it's changing. And just like what you're describing with people that you know, all of a sudden that effective range is just growing exponentially.
Yeah.
Instead of like a 20 or 30 or 40 yard shot, they're shooting at 50, 60, 70, 80.
Mm-hmm.
And even the guy that we were talking to about this, we were talking about shots that they may or may not take, like Brutus. If I would have had Brutus at 34 yards with a crossbow and he wouldn't have stopped, would I have shot at him? I think a lot of crossbow guys have been like, yeah, my crossbow bolt is going 400, 500 feet per second. The minute I pull the trigger, it's there. Yeah, I would have taken that shot.
Yeah.
But for me, with a vertical bow, knowing at that yardage how they duck and just the speed of the arrow, it wasn't the shot for me.
Right.
With a recurve, he wouldn't even have been in range.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And so it's just interesting how it's just the technology it's changing it.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you see that 67% of bow hunters in Pennsylvania kill deer with a crossbow, and that outpaced rifle kills when it came to bucks, that's a big shift.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's crazy.
Does it ever shift back? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I mean, I know what I'm going to be doing.
Yep.
I think I know what you're going to be doing too, probably.
Yep.
For as long as we can.
Yep. But here's what I'll also say, and I say this to bring it full circle. And here's the thing: most people probably won't even get to this part of this podcast, and they'll see a micro clip of whatever you're going to cut up, and then they'll grab one little tidbit of it. But I think even more than what we're doing and what we personally want to do, I think that what we all should be doing, and whether you're the crossbow guy, you're a recurve guy, you're a compound guy, you're a rifle guy, muzzleloader, I don't care. I think what we really need to do is what's even more concerning about where we all feel where this shakes out from a crossbow, recurve, vertical bow perspective. It's what we all should be really concerned about, and what we all should be really doing is trying to figure out a way to get more people into this.
For sure.
Get more young people interested and passionate about this.
Yeah.
You know, we had this talk before the call or before this podcast. I was at home this morning and Jet flat out asked me, when's turkey season? How much longer? I said, well, buddy, it's like first part of April. So it's like, I don't know, it's like a month and a half away. He said, he had a piece of paper. How many days are in a month? I'm like, 30. What day is it right now? I'm like, February. He's like, so how many days are in this month? 10. So when's the season exactly? I think it's like April 10th. So he's like 30 plus 10. He goes, that's 50 days away. That is somebody that's eaten up by it. It's not something you do. It's something you have to do. It's a passion. And I think that's what we need to try to figure out, how we get more people to be passionate about it like that.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, it's just, that's what I think that we really need to try to do. And hopefully I feel like, you know, when I have conversations with people and when I was in my 20s, I was the guy that kind of poo-pooed on guys that shot compounds, and crossbows back then wasn't even like, that was way out in left field. You know what I mean? But now I just feel like it's like, and I saw this when I guided in Colorado, to each his own. And as long as you're having fun and it's legal and you can do it, then go do it. Let's just all try to keep more people involved in this, and let's not feel like it's this exclusive club, but that it's for everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, interesting conversation.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Lot to unpack.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I just be interesting to see what this map looks like
5 years from now.
10 years from now. And who knows, maybe what it becomes is like, look at muzzleloaders. A lot of muzzleloaders in a lot of Western states. Like Colorado. You can use a muzzleloader early, but you have to use iron sights. You know, is there something like that maybe it shifts?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, like even those Lancaster guys, I joked to them, they were talking about these crossbows. And I said, man, I go, if I close my eyes, sounds like you guys are talking about rifles. And they're like, oh, ha, you know, we just kind of laugh. I'm like, but, you know, is there something that maybe that there becomes something that makes it harder to shoot so far?
Yeah.
You know? I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
Does it shake out a little differently? All right, let's leave it there. A lot to unpack, a lot to think about.
Yep.
Hey, Ozonics Killerwinds podcast, another one in the books. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned next week. We're going to be at Dixie Deer Classic.
Yep. Next one will be from Dixie.
Oh, yeah. North Carolina, Raleigh. If you're around, we'll be there.
Yep.
Show up. Come say hi. See you next week. Stay classy.